Awesome. Yeah, so we have Abhinav with us. Thanks, Abhinav. Thanks for joining. And I'm not sure what time is it. I mean, you guys are four and a half hours ahead of us, right? You're based out of Australia right now.
Yeah, so it's 4 hours ahead of India. So 8 7 right
Okay,
now.
so it's like kind of a dinner time for you. Thanks for taking up your time. So Abhinav, I think I met Abhinav way back in early 2000. So he was my batchmate in IDC, and he was in PD, and I think I was in BC. So I think we really had a great time in the two years. I think after that, I think we're just trying to catch him only now, I guess. So I think it was a good time that Abhinav did attend some of the sessions what we're hosting now. So I thought like it's a great time to pull Abhinav as well and share his experience, what he's been has done so far. So quick, a little bit of I won't take too much time because I think he has a great story to say. But a little bit of glimpse of Abhinav is so Abhinav comes from a very typical engineering background, right? So yeah, most of Indians, engineering students, we want to do engineering part, and but that's how there's a pivot in his life where he wanted to get into his design part. So that's why he joined IDC, and he was more into industrial design. And he spent almost like 13 years designing bikes and more into automobile industry. So he spent with Hero Honda for almost like 13 plus years, right? And then he had a little bit pivot, went into a little more consumer applications and so on, and then I don't know, like that's what he's going to help us to understand, like what interested him towards getting into the art, and then now he started teaching to kids, right, to how to draw and stuff. So, but what fascinated me was, at least I've been following him for past couple of years. So he has this habit of quickly trying to capture some of this the real time moments, what happens in his real life, and then tries to make it like kind of a nice diary, right? More of a visual diary, right? So on his day-to-day life incidents, and it has so much power in terms of information, in terms of the style, and I think slowly it's got to a level now that you can easily say that it's actually Abhinav's sketch, right? So he's got that particular style and the character and the kind of information that actually comes out of it. It's like really, really wow. So without taking much of time, so I let Abhinav walk us through his journey of his engineering to industrial designer to now more into artistic world, and then now he's also sharing his experience with a lot of students. And I don't know what else. He has more plans. He's still not settled down yet. So that's the best part. So over to you, Abhinav.
Yeah, thanks, Dayan, for such a nice introduction. uh, and thanks to everyone who is here, because I really appreciate um, remembering that there is someone who is going to talk and then you would be there. So that's really commendable. That's really appreciable. And as Dayan has just shared with you, so I come from the same background, designer, and I believe most of you would be designer right now, whoever is attending here. But this session would not be about being a designer or not being a designer or being an engineer or whatever. So profession is one thing, but I will try to make it more like a story, and would not try to bore you guys. So that's the whole idea, to make you enjoy today's afternoon or evening, and to make you understand my process, my journey, what I have done and why I have done. So maybe that will help you, and especially the people who think that drawing is for artists. So I'm not at all an artist. So whatever I had done, I would show you, and maybe we can chat about that thing in the end. So without taking much of your time, I will start with my presentation. I'll share my screen. So as Dayan, can you see the screen?
Yes, Abhinav, we are good.
Awesome. Yeah. Okay. Cool. So as you can see in my screen, there is something which is more of a motto of my life from last 4 years, I will say. because I had taken life too seriously initially, and I did whatever is being told me to to be by the society to be done. So I had done everything. I started my journey in a very from a very humble place called Kota in Rajasthan, and then I moved ahead. But this is my motto of life: that do not take life too seriously, because anyway we are not going to get out of it alive. And this is going to be the whole cloud under which my presentation will be there today. So what happened was, um, I started my journey as most of us do, with lots of degrees and lots of qualifications, which we think would be useful in our industrial world, would be useful in our career and job. So that's how I started. And I was not a very good student initially, but the way Indian middle class goes is by getting lots of degrees, so that they can fight with the world, and they can have something to show to the world. So that's how I started too. So during my school time, I was not the kid who was studying, but I was another kind of kid who used to draw a lot, like just the doodles. I was not a good artist. My drawing teacher didn't like me, because whenever they asked me to draw scenery or some sort of forest or whatever, then I always draw some kind of planes or battle tanks in those scenarios. So my drawing teacher didn't like me much, and they don't give me much weightage as well. So I didn't have good grades in drawing, but I was the guy who used to ask for 2
Hey,
pages.
Abhinav, I mean, sorry to interrupt. Do you mind switching on your camera, because maybe folks who have joined late can at least try and see you.
Switching on the camera?
Yeah. So I think your video camera is off.
Okay. Just a second.
Yes.
It's on. I think
Right.
when I share the screen, it turns off automatically, I think.
Oh, is it? Oh, okay, fine. It's okay then. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry for that. So I used to ask for 2 pages, 2 papers. And my idea was to draw on one of them whatever they want. And on the second one, I used to draw my own stuff, cars and bikes and whatever. So whatever was passionate for me. And my teachers, of course, they don't love me for that. They don't like me for that. But that's what I was. I used to draw a lot in school days. Then after the school, I thought having lots of balloons, which is like degrees and courses and lots of knowledge, is going to help me. And I came, as I said, I was not very studious, so I was not able to be selected in engineering. So I started with a diploma in polytechnic. So you can see from where I am coming. So and then from diploma, I had gone to engineering. I did my mechanical engineering, and then to IIT, and that was like a dream come true. And with the tag comes ego. With the tag comes all kind of status quo. So that's what came with me. But then when I entered into the real world of industry, of work, all my balloons, they burst. No one is talking about degrees there. No one is talking about the knowledge there. They are all talking about what you're bringing on the table, whether you're your boss favorite or not. So that's a different kind of spectrum. That's a different kind of mindset, which I was not prepared for. And I thought, okay, no one has taught me that there is a thing called politics, which is going on in a company. And I joined Hero Honda first. And I'm not saying that Hero Honda is the only company where politics there. It's everywhere. So the tools which I had acquired over the period of my whole life, they were not working for me at the time when I joined the company. So within 1 year, I found out that that's not good for me. I need to do something else. Now, during my career, I started as an industrial designer. I designed a few motorbikes for Hero, and then did lots of research in consumer behavior and all those things. Then I thought, why not try my skills on something different, which is consumer appliances. So I moved from Hero Honda to Havels in 2016. Now that was, I will say, a bigger turning point for me. I will show you what exactly I'm trying to say. But with this image, I will tell the biggest picture. I will show a biggest picture of my presentation. So what happened was, one of my colleague has got, I think mother-in-law. Yeah, his mother-in-law. She was of I think 75 or 80 years of age, and she accidentally broke her pelvic bone. She had a fracture, and then they had taken her to the doctors, and then the doctors said that we can't do anything because her bones are not at that stage that we can fix it. So we can't put in bolts, we can't put in rods, but still, because it's their mother, so they insisted, and then the doctors put in nuts and bolts and all kind of rods and stuff. But what happened at night, due to some reason, that lady pulled that nuts and bolt, and she just touched that or just pulled that, and then everything fell apart, and then her leg came off. Although it may look a bit surreal, but the message was, whatever you eat, how many tomatoes you eat, or how many lauki ka juice you drink all your life, or how many cigarettes you take or you don't smoke, but the age of body is somewhere around 70 to 80 years. So that came as a realization for me with that incident. And that was in 2016 when I was at peak of my career. So I was a section head, a department head, and then everything was going fine with me as per the books. But that's what I realized, that that's something else which I should be looking for. But with that 70-year of lifespan of body, which I already talked about, I was doing something else with my body or with my life. I was paying EMI for a car, for a house, and I was dragging it actually, because I was not loving that 8 hours of my day. I was just focusing on something which is required to pay that EMI, that's money. And with that story, with that 70 years old lady story, 80 years old person story, slowly this thing started building in my head that, okay, this is not what my life is for. This is not what I am here for on this earth, to have a visiting card, to have a car, to have a house, and to pay for that and hold my life. That's what I'm going to do. So that's called hanging by the visiting card. So whenever you ask someone, they are either doctor, engineer, or whatever. So that's what they talk about. They don't talk about the kind of human they are. So that thing pinched me at the time. And I have two boys, Arnav and Arav. So these two guys were looking for my time. They were asking for my time, but I was traveling a lot at the time, and I was exceeding that. I was excelling that ladder of career, which they say. So I was not giving much time to them. But then, whatever they are doing, I was missing it. So whatever mischief they were doing, whatever playful act they were doing, I was missing it because of my job and because of the frustration it was building in my head. So I started drawing whatever they were doing. So just some simple pencil sketches. I will show how I started. And another person was my wife. So my kids and my wife. So all of us have got similar kind of life around us, nuclear families, wife and kids. So whatever was happening with us, as a logbook, I started drawing. So as Dayan has started my introduction with, so this was all about gathering the data which is around me, whatever is happening, whatever my kids were saying, whatever my wife was saying. So as a logbook, so that one day I will remember everything, whatever they had said to me, and I will laugh at that. So I started drawing as pencil sketches. So I started, the left one was the first sketch I remember, which I posted on Facebook. I think there's one more before that, but that was really crude one. So this is the one which I would say was the first sketch. And that was about my life at the time. So we used to get our kids to bed, and by 10, we were busy on our mobile phones. Although we were sitting together, but we were not talking to each other. We were looking in our phones, on Facebook, on whatnot, on WhatsApp or whatever. But that's the life we had. And when I posted this one, I think 40 or 50 people liked that. And I said, wow, that's something which is unique, because that's quite normal. and people can relate to what I'm drawing. So I felt very happy about that. And the second one which I had drawn was this one on the right. So that's my wife and that's me. So that was drawn on, I think, Women's Day. So everybody was talking about women empowerment, but I had made my wife as goddess Durga, and then she's the one who I'm praying to, and she's the one who's the head of the house. So why do we need a Women's Day? So it's more of a sarcastic kind of thing. So that's how I had drawn my second one, and then people again liked that. So wow, that's something new, because I was getting recognition, which I failed to get in office, even drawing, even making lots of motorbike and designing them. So I started drawing these kind of things. Then my R&D, the research and development department of Hero Honda, it shifted from Gurgaon to Jaipur. And then I have to go there, and I used to live there for 5 days and then come back on Saturday and Sunday. So although I was living in a good flat with my flatmates and I was having good bed and everything was organized, but I was not getting enough sleep. I was sleepless because I was missing my home. And that's the second one, that's the next one which I had drawn. So when I used to go to home on weekend, I used to sleep with my kids, all messy. Our bed was really bad. And people who have joined from Australia would be thinking, okay, they still sleep in the same bed. Yeah, we used to do. And with our kids. So that's what our bed was. So my wife, because of less space, she was not able to sleep. So that's what I had drawn. So my inspiration has started coming from the places around me, and especially my family and whatever is happening around me in my life. So that's how I started. Then after some time, I started graduating in medium. So I bought this one, that camel ink, and then start drawing it. So the left one is about my family's hierarchy, in which me and my wife come at last, and my kids, they dictate us. So still they do, but when they were kid, they used to do it a lot. And I started using a new medium to express myself. And if you will see, I used to play with light, and like I used to leave spaces over there. So just rough kind of sketches. And I like those kind of work at the time, and I still do. So that's how I started. Then even I used to draw on mobile phones. So I used to have a Samsung, some small phone, and the left one is on the Mother's Day. So people were praising their mother, their goddess, and their this and their that, and that's what my take on a Mother's Day for my wife, or for my mother. So she used to wake me up like that, because I used to sleep till late. And the right one is the reality of my life. So people used to say that, okay, you're excelling in life because you're this and that, but it's quite similar to all of us. It's trying to make the ends meet. We are not excelling in life. We are just earning money to pay somewhere for an EMI, for a house, for next house, for a car, for next car. So that life is going somewhere. So if you will see, everything is going around in circle with the same kind of 70, 80 years of body's age. So I was thinking about that thing a lot at the time. Then in my studio, we used to draw on Wacom. So that was for automotive sketches, automotive drawing, but I was drawing comics on that. And this one is for my elder son, Arnav. So there were two kids in our locality who used to tease him. And I had drawn this thing based on the Hare and the Tortoise story of Panchatantra. So the story was there. Then I changed the characters, and I made my son as a turtle, and then these guys are here, and then they used to tease him, and then finally he won. But this story didn't work because my kids were too young at the time, and they didn't understood it. But I got an idea that, okay, I can do something of that sort also. So that was my first take on comics. So by the time I came to know that the things that makes me happy I can categorize them, and that's the most difficult part, I think, in our life. We don't know what makes us happy. So whatever comes up, we will start talking about it. So if you will have seen, we started with the coronavirus, then we had gone to Sushant Singh, and then now to China, and now tomorrow we will go to something else, because we don't have anything else in our life to take care of. So at the time I found out that reading is one thing which I like, riding motorbikes is second thing, and doing something for my health keep me happy, and drawing like sketches and caricatures is another thing which I like a lot. So that's what I promised myself to do. I bought a motorbike and didn't work out well. I was too old for that, but I didn't lost hope, and I bought another one. So at the time, this was the biggest one my pocket can afford. But then again, there was no place to ride it because too much of congestion in Gurgaon. So I had drawn this one. So I will ride today, but then on the road, there's lots of traffic, lots of people there. So can't do anything about it. And in my company, I designed this one, this HF Deluxe motorcycle. So selling very well. But the thing which gives me a lot of pleasure in my company is going there and then drawing caricature of my studio mates. So that's what I used to do. I used to draw pen caricatures of those guys, although you will see that they're very amateurish and they're basic, but still it gives a kind of thing to talk about. So that's why I used to do that. The mentality which I got, because people tell me that we don't get ideas. So it's more of sponge kind of mentality. Whatever I was seeing, I was absorbing that, I was grasping that, and I was just putting that thing on paper. And as I said, it's more about keeping a log of things which are happening in my life. So as you can see, that's the maximum English coverage of a Gurgaon mom. They start with some kind of English and then they go to Hindi or whatever language they know. And the right one is about my kids. So they were growing up, but they didn't know. So they used to climb on me, and then although they were quite bulky at the time, and they used to climb on me, and I was the one who was being tortured. And whatever was happening around me, I was drawing that. Even small stuff like having cold. So you can see on the left top corner that I had drawn my nose as a broken tap, which is always running. So I was suffering from some kind of cold for a very long time. So that's what I had drawn. And the other one is about my kids. So this is about my kids. So that's the elder one who used to break everything at the time. So I had drawn him as a Hulk. And I used to look at the images from internet and I used to copy them, and that's how I had started drawing. And the second one is my younger one's cough. That was really bad at the time. So I had drawn that as well. And then midlife issues. So that's what I had drawn. And then someone has given me an idea of drawing something of sort of Superman. So that was an EMI man. So EMI man is the guy who is paying installment for his house and car and whatever. That's what I was at the time. So I'd drawn myself, and I'd drawn a couple of comics on that, but just some frames. But I didn't like that idea much because I was not getting enough ideas. That was part of my life. That's it. So I'd gone back to my basic self, my wife and my kids. So my wife was angry with us, and my kids who were creating some kind of stories around our life. So that's what I started with. And of course, the problems which my kids was facing, their friends or whoever was their enemies or whatever. So these are Arnavaro killers. So these two guys were brothers, and they used to tease my son. So I had drawn them. So I had drawn a sort of small comic on that, but we'll share it some other time. And then the demonetization came, and then I had drawn this one at the time. And because this is what has happened in my house. My wife, she bought lots of money out of somewhere, and then she asked me, what should I do with the money which I saved from you? And then I came to realize, okay, that's what she was doing from so many days or so many months. And then the right one is just the contextual thing which I had seen around Gurgaon. So women, they used to drive Activas and their scooters, talking on phone, and even they were hanging on the scooter because they were too short for that bike. That's what I had seen over there, and I started drawing whatever was around me. I'd taken art as an expression. So the left one is the kids inside me is bigger than my real self, because I had seen I was not mature enough as other guys around me. Everyone can talk to other people in the way they want to listen to, but I used to talk from my heart, so I was more of a kid. Still I am. So that's what I had drawn. So it was left one, and the right one is about job. It's like, if you will, the song which is in Hindi, it's दुनिया में रहना है तो काम करो प्यारे, हाथ जोड़ सबको सलाम करो प्यारे. So it's like, if you have to live in this world, then you have to just be polite and be humble and keep smiling, and then people will like you. Otherwise people will hate you, because if you're expressing yourself, no one is going to like you. So that's how I've drawn myself at the time. Then slowly something started coming up, which is my frustration about my life. So I've drawn the left one. It's about time. So time is like water, and it will grow everything you put it in. And I'm putting my time in office, and I'm growing. So I was putting my time in office, and of course, growing is very subjective. So I was not growing from my own self, from my own position at the time. Career-wise, that's okay. Money-wise, that's okay. But what I was doing with my life was something else. So that's what I had drawn. And then the right one is hung by the degree. Some become doctors, some became engineer for life. So as I already told, that when you ask someone, they will always talk about the degrees first. And that's what was hurting me somewhere. So I'd drawn them. That was in 2016, as you can see from the dates. And this one is 8 hours ki naukri. It's like 8 hours of job, 4 hours ka traffic, 4 hours of traffic, and then 2 hours ki pitai is like, then I have 2 hours to play with my kids. So we're looking for my time, but I was putting my time in my job and my traveling, because I was traveling from Gurgaon to Noida. It's like 3 states at one go, 2 hours one side and 2 hours coming back. So this is the app situation which I was facing at the time. So the job was killing my time. Time was precious, as I already figured out by the time. But job is the one who was taking all of my time. That was killing my time. And I thought, okay, that's something which need to be taken care of. Otherwise, I would be like other grumpy old man who is not satisfied with my life. And I'm responsible for my life. So in 2017, I moved from India to Australia. And all of a sudden, my wife was not happy. Of course, my parents would not be happy. I left them over there. And I left my career, I left my job, everything. And without any resume sent to Australia, I came directly here, landed in Adelaide, because it's a small city and I don't want to go to hustle bustle of a big city. So I landed here, and I promised myself that I will not go for another corporate job, because I'm in a new country. And if I'll do the same thing, then it's the same life which I was having in India. So I made that promise to myself. And when I came here, I made some good friends. One of my friend, Daniel, he has gifted me these inks. So the left one, right one I bought from India, and the left one is gifted. So when he gifted me, I started trying new medium, new things. And we didn't have any image of any photograph of God. So that's the first thing which I had drawn from that ink, the left one. And you can see my sketching was not that good in 2017. By the time I was again experimenting a lot. So left one was done in inks, and the right one is my wife's portrait, was done in charcoal. So I tried new medium at the time, and I was free, because I had promised myself that I'm not going to go for a corporate job. So that's what I had done. I tried to learn drawing and attending classes here and there, new medium. And so as I was putting these things on Facebook, people started approaching me to take classes of some sort, some workshops. And I'd taken some workshop with Indian community and with some schools and here and there. And I found that that's what my calling is. And I was liking those kind of things, the workshops, and talking to the participant, talking to kids, their parents, talking to whoever. So and most of the time, very few people used to show up. And I tried even doing caricatures in fairs. So the left image is there. So these two, and I think a couple of more. So just 4 customers in the whole day. That's what my take at the time. People used to see my work, and then they were a bit skeptical about the kind of work which I was doing, because here in Australia as well, people don't do these kind of things. They don't draw. They don't work much on these things, and there are no stalls on the side of the road as well. And I used to start picking some assignments of that sort, the right one, with some little incentive, $50 or something of that sort. So that was a local band, which they asked me to draw a caricature. And then I found a new tool, which is sort of a small Chinese tablet, a Huron tablet for 1,000 rupees. That's $20 in Australia. And I started drawing on that. So whatever was happening around my life, so I was drawing that as well. So it's the same question, which I'm sure today your wife is going to ask, or you are going to ask to your family, is khana kya banana hai? What should we have for dinner? So that's the haunting question for us. So I've drawn that. And the right one is about my kids. So when you are the favorite sport for your kids. And left one is another take on comics. And the right one is one comic strip I did for a local union. So I was doing some small jobs which were more of a appreciation for my work rather than earning something good. So these are another caricatures which I did from that tablet. I was learning, and the software I was using was Sketchbook Pro. That was free, so I was using that. And this one I like especially. That's my wife, and the name of this caricature is Mood Swings. So my wife used to have mood swings of some sort, and we were the one who were taking the brunt. So that's Mood Swings. And by the time I was in Australia for 1 year, and I didn't work for 1 year out of the corporate job. So I was very happy, and I'd drawn this one. Not a good one, but I'd drawn, it's contextual. So I'd drawn that, and that's what I was doing. I was seeing whatever was around me. And the second thing was, a lot of people, they used to share posts of coaching centers in India, and that's what I'd drawn. It's like coaching industries, eating kids, and then their life and whatever. And I used to draw a lot on my note copies here and there. And then again, the left one is gifted by my friend. Right one is the right color is gifted by someone else, and then that ink has been bought from India. And so I started drawing using these mediums, and I started working on these mediums. So with the inks and watercolor, I'd drawn something different. And again, not for money, just to learn a new trick. And I posted these on Facebook and Instagram, and I got good following from there. And then I started drawing portrait as well. So slowly I was building my skill set. And these portraits are done in inks. So left one is my wife, and center one is my father and my son, and then top one is my relative's daughter. So I'd drawn a lot of portraits, and then shared with my friends and relatives. So as I was having this passion of trying new things, and then 4 things which are going to make me happy. So motorbikes were the one which were making me happy. So I bought these motorbikes in Australia, and I still have the second one, red one, and I started drawing them as well. And because I was passionate about motorbikes and watercolors and these things, so I was drawing these motorbikes, and some of them are being used by the groups, KLR 650 groups, as their DP and WhatsApp group. So this is the main thing which I had followed in my life is, if it's only one life, then try everything here only. You will not get another chance. So I started trying things, and as I was passionate about motorbikes, and I didn't have much money because I was not into a corporate job. So I used to go to dealers and then take their motorbikes for a test ride for half an hour. Here in Australia, they give it for half an hour, 1 hour. So I used to drive Harley Davidson and then Indian motorbikes and stuff. And made few good friends. So one of them is a truckie. So he was driving a 50-ton truck. It's sort of a road train kind of thing, and I had gone to another place with him. So I was experimenting a lot. I was trying something new, which people can't do because they're going to office, and they were having a life of a different kind. Then at the time, I'd shown my caricature to the principal of my kids' school, and then she asked me to start teaching in their school. So I become a SSO. So I was teaching in school, and these are being shared by the school only. So whatever is being written is by the school. So I was teaching there, and the work which I had done with the kids, I published a book out of that, and school has paid for that. And then at the time, I found, okay, publishing a book is not a big deal. So why not try something of that sort in a real world? So I met a author here in Australia, Angela, and she already had got a couple of publications on her name. So I worked with her, and we, as an illustrator, I worked, and these were her stories. So we published 2 books. So so then I have that box tick as well, that okay, I can publish my own book. So and we got good response from the library, and good number of people showed up for what we were showing. And parallelly, I was teaching engineering at one college and design at other. So I was doing these kind of things as well, so that I should have some money on the plate. But as well as about that, these are the passions which I was finding in my life: teaching and talking to people and finding new things and working on new medium. So I was exploring, a bit confused as well. So these are another sketches which I had drawn at that time. I will not talk much about these. So they're basic sketches about my kids and about my life. So Monday we just start as anyone else, and then weekend warriors. So we are just weekend people cleaning our houses on weekend. And then the last one was the Friday zombie. So my neighbors, I can't see them whole week, but on Fridays I can see them. They're like zombies. So they are off radar whole week, but they are visible on Fridays. Then my wife has gifted me an iPad in 2019, and of course from her saving and plus asking money from me. So that's how I got my iPad, and this was the biggest investment I did for myself. And then we had gone to India, and India is like a melting pot of all the cultures and everything which is going on. You can draw whole day and you will not be running out of your subjects. So that's what I had seen in India. Everything was going crazy there, and then I'd start drawing there. So we were there for like 7 weeks. So by the time I'd drawn a lot, some political stuff, and I was eating a lot at the time. So I had drawn this thing on the iPad, and coming from outside, that's what I was able to see. That was Indian men to me. Everyone was looking same, having the same kind of beard and having the same kind of look. So Indian men was all same for me, and I started drawing them as well. This was my encounter with SBI. So there are three comics, 3 pages I had done. My encounter was on SBI. So it's somewhat similar to what we used to watch in Office Serial. You can have a look on my Facebook or Instagram page. And I don't know about you guys, but that's what this guy used to come in Kota, and when I was sleeping. So they used to have a song "Gaadi Wala Aaya Ghar Se Kachra Nikal," and he used to wake me up. So I had drawn him, and my parents started laughing on that. So that art is connecting me with everyone. So and guys like these who were traveling here and there and smoking, and then they were not bothered about helmet or whatever on their moped, and the difference which I'm seeing in my kids in their language. And we were riding 2-wheelers without helmet, and so all kind of fun was there. So that was all new for me at the time, and I was started drawing that. My friends and me, you go to dinner with anyone, and they will insist that they will pay. And my mom, she used to ask me, "Will you have tea?" And then say yes. Then in just 1 minute, she will come back and say, "Here's the tea." she used to make such a quick tea. So I'd drawn that. So whatever I was seeing. So during my journey back home, that's what I had seen. My kids were always waiting for food in aeroplane, and on airport we were sleeping. So that kind of thing was happening. At the time, COVID was um, in the air, and then travelers were looking like that. So when I'm back to Australia, COVID was at peak, back to business, and I started growing these. So I think I'm running out of time. I'll just quickly talk about these. So the right one says the only thing which is growing around me is coronavirus and my tummy. And if you will see these, so my kids have stayed at home at the time, and they were breaking everything, and they were fighting with each other. So I was asking my wife, have we done the right thing by keeping them home? So, as I said, normal thing which is going around. And Mars attack, so it's like corona attack. And I was washing my hand with alcohol or whatever, so it's my hand is dry, so I'd drawn them. And at my home, this is what is happening. So don't you try to kiss me till they develop corona vaccine, because you're going to infect me. That's what my son told me. So I'd drawn that. And my kids were like monkeys, so they were breaking everything because now they're at home because of coronavirus. And a lot of stuff was going around in my house. So like this, because all of us were grumpy. So, are you afraid of coronavirus? Don't worry, dad is here. And my son was saying that I'm afraid of him only, my dad. These kind of small stuff. When are we going to live our life? And these guys will take the afternoon nap, because we were watching telly all day. Winding up, what I've seen is drawing has become a communication tool for me over the time. So whenever this is the latest one, one of my friend, also we had a friendly kind of quarrel with each other. So and I was not able to say him what's going wrong, so I was drawing and putting these things on WhatsApp, that you're beating me and still you're asking for a help. So those kind of thing. And I've drawn lots of comics and things like that and sent to people, because that's what I found is a good way to communicate to other people. Because of the experiments I did and the kind of things which I did in my life in last 4 years, I'm having a happy life because of that, and an unhappy wife because I'm not doing everything as per the norms, and I'm breaking the mold. And of course, there's a lot of pain in that, and still I'm having a lot of teething problems because I'm trying something new every day, and that's what my life is, and that's what I'm experimenting a lot. So before I go to the, I would like to show you how the process, the way I draw, because few of you would not be here for my story; they would be here to learn the process. Then you want to add something, or shall I directly go on the process?
No, but I think we're good. You can go ahead with your demo.
Okay. So are you able to see me, or shall I go switch off the camera, because I have to hold my iPad and then I will draw.
Right. Yeah. Maybe you have to unshare your screen. Maybe.
Yeah.
Yep.
So can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So the app which I use is Procreate. That's on iPad, and I will quickly show the way I draw. But that's not hard and fast for iPad. You can draw the same way on any other app or any other way, even on paper. So on paper, you can start with pencil and then with pen. So I normally take any bright color. Yep. So I've taken a color and a pencil. So the way I draw is I draw a face, which is like a circle. That's how I'm drawing nowadays, because by that you can draw easy face, and you can have expression. Then an ear, and I draw eyes as small lines, and that's mostly under half of the face. So that will make that character cute. And I've seen people like that cute kind of look. So I'd started drawing that, and maybe a small line for a smile. And with hair also, I'm not playing a lot. So just a hair of that sort, or maybe hair of this sort. So whatever way you want, you can draw that. So for today, I will draw just like that. And for the figure, if that's the proportion of the head, then I will not go beyond this much. So it's like half of the body is head, and then maybe if this is the hand and this is the other hand, then that's my figure. So you can draw anything. Right now I'm drawing someone who is standing, or maybe you can draw someone who is running. So initially you need to have a look, how do we do stuff, how our bodies move. So those kind of things you need to understand. So I will just draw a basic human figure who is standing. So something of this sort. And I will not worry about the clothes and the hands, because they will take a lot of your time. And then I will go with a new layer. And the initial brush was just a pencil. And now I'm using an inking brush. And in Procreate, that's called Syrup. And from that, you can get good lines. So you can adjust your brush by streamlining it more or less. So that's what you can do. So I will ink my character. And so suppose that's the hair. And then this is the face. And then the hand, other hand. So the only way you can learn to draw is by observing people and then drawing them, and don't worry about making mistakes. Of course, you will make a lot of mistakes, but who's here to look at that? So then I will switch off my layer, and that's the ground on which this guy is standing. Most of the time I draw myself, so my sketch is having a speck. That's what distinguishes me. And then I will go with the same layer and make it a reference layer. I'll add another layer and then go with slightly less darker here. So now I missed that spot. I will just cover that and fill in color over there. Then skin color, suppose that's the skin color. You can have any skin color you want. That's for face. And I will not bother too much about my other layers and stuff. Just I will put every color on this one. Darker tone of blue for the trousers. So that's how I've drawn a figure. And I will add another layer, and we'll go with another brush of some sort, maybe a marker, and that's for the shading. So if you will see, it's not going fine, so I will just increase the size, and we'll reduce the opacity. So you can do the same thing on Photoshop or on anything. Even with watercolor, you can do the same thing. You can play around with the watercolor. And because light is falling from top, so I'm just coloring whatever is there, and then the ground sort of color over here, just some gradation over here. So that's how I draw my sketches. It's so quick. And if you are really fussy about hands and things, then you can draw your character's hand by covering these areas. Okay, I missed that because yeah, okay. So you can draw your hand, and then you can give face color over there. So that's how normally I draw. And then I put text over there in another layer, just the basic text which we use anywhere. So more like that. So that's how I draw my caricatures. Oh, I will stop sharing my screen for now. And if you have some question, then we can go ahead and we can talk about whatever you want to know more from me.
Oh yeah, I think first of all, I think it's a wonderful journey of kind of took us to a great visual story. I think I kind of thoroughly enjoyed it. So thanks a lot, Abhinav. So I had a couple of questions. I think I will also kind of coming to 1 hour mark. The first question is a very typical thing, right? So there's always an advantage of folks who are a little bit of from, let's say, if you're from an architecture background or a finance background, already you have this training of a little bit of playing with these tools, right? So you're not scared of trying to draw, but but since you are coming from engineering background, so how did you break that fear? So I think that's going to help a lot of people because people are. That's the one. The first point is about the breaking that ice, right? Of like I'm actually not good at drawing. So what's your advice for people who are like scared to draw?
Yeah, so it's actually a very common phenomenon. We all go through that, and the best thing is to copy. So you start copying other artists, or maybe take cue from whatever is there online, just the images or whatever. So you start copying that, and the area where we need help is the gestures, how people stand, how they move their hand, and how they talk. So initially, if you don't know how to do that and you want to draw angry child, just Google that angry child. You will find something. And if you want much more help, then write angry child caricature, angry child cartoon. So you can begin with that, and you can add your own touches, like the face you want to draw or whatever. So you just copy that, and I think that will help you a lot, because then you will understand how our body moves, how everything happens. So it won't look out of place.
Yep. So in general, what's your perception of, to someone to master that particular medium? So right now you've got your own style, right? So to reach at this level, I mean, I know that you've done a lot of this stuff, but in general, how much time it would take?
To reach at a good level?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it depends on your interest, first thing, and the amount of practice you do. So I've seen few of people, they can do detailing of amazing level. So they will spend 2 days on one sketch. But I'm quite impatient in that regard. So I'll just do quick doodle like the one which I've shown you. So that won't take much time. But it also depends on your journey. So if you don't know anything, then you will take longer time. So like my kids, they ask me how to draw. So I will tell them just to draw a stick man with a face, round face, and a stick body around it. That will also be sufficient to show whatever you want to show, a story or a joke or whatever, or situation. You don't need to have a very expressive figure to express a drawing.
Yep, that's totally true. So in general, like, so what's your take on like how important is this habit of sketching, right? So I see that I have this one common complaint with most of the new age designers, that they all are so smart in terms of thinking and the tools, but somehow they miss out kind of the basics of trying to draw things out. So what's your take on that? I mean, how is this helping you in terms of your design process or your thinking process?
Yeah. So as I said, it's helping me a lot, first thing, because as you can say, it's my visual diary. So it's not just anything which I'm doing for someone else, it's for myself. So I'm keeping a log with that. So that's first thing. Second thing is, that's how I'm able to express myself, even as a designer. So whenever I talk to someone who is into the same field, then it's easy for me to draw stuff and then talk to them. And I can't have an iPad all the time with me, or a computer with me. So normally a piece of paper with any pen is all right. You can start drawing things, and don't worry about the level of drawing which you're doing. Even if you don't think it's up to the mark, everyone has started the same way. The problem is we don't draw enough and we don't show enough. That's the reason we are a bit scared. Otherwise, same thing. It's like dancing. So you don't know dance, but till the time you don't start dancing, you would never know it. You will never learn it. So start doing it. And don't worry about people. They will always be behind you and in front of you. So you're somewhere in between in your life always.
Yeah, totally. So I think this also kind of extends to another question. Like, so all this your thing is also, it's all about a frozen moment of a particular time, right? So how do you make sure that, because it would have happened sometime in the morning, so I'm not sure whether you'll be immediately able to capture it, because end of the day, so when do you generally sketch? Is it like immediately you try and transfer it to a visual format, or you take time and always there's a time that, okay, I actually try to open up only in the evenings, right, when I have my tea or stuff. So how do you, because there's a lot of chance that you might miss out that moment, right? So how do you make sure that you don't miss it out?
Yeah. So there are two things which do happen with me. One is either I draw at the same time if I have time, because as you can see, I draw a very quick caricature kind of thing, not a very detailed thing. So my main idea is to capture it. But if I'm not at home, or if I'm somewhere outside where I can't draw, then I will make a note on my mobile on the notepad about the idea, and I will draw sometime else. And also it will happen that you normally, whenever you're stressed, you're running out of ideas. So at the time you need some ideas where you can bank on. And the best part is when you start drawing the same idea which you know from your past, ideas start coming in. So that do happen. So just keep on noting down your ideas, and you can draw them any other time as well.
Okay, nice. So basically, so the whole idea is, don't just depend upon your whatever you have in your brain, but then better to like start trying to jot down the notes, right? Great. Cool. So I think one last question before we wrap it up,
absolutely.
I would say is yeah. So yeah, any closing notes, any advice for all these the young designers out there?
So the only thing which I will like to say is do whatever you like to do. Don't worry about people. Don't worry about what others say. And I'm not talking about just drawing. Bigger advice would be live your life rather than living life for something which you don't like, or which is going to perish anyway. So live the moment whatever you have. That's a bigger advice I would like to give, rather than just drawing and doing things which I am doing, which is suitable for me. But do whatever you like to do, whatever it is. Don't spend your time working with someone else's dream. Work for your own dream, whatever it is.
Awesome. Yeah, I think it's a great advice. In fact, like I think a lot of folks who have kids, maybe they'll ask like their kids to like try and inspire them to like start drawing today. So I think it was a great session. Thank you once again for your time, and so please do keep us posted on all your stuff. And folks, you guys can follow Abhinav on Facebook. I think it's called what's your Facebook ID? EV engine _ engine, right?
That's AV and engine.
AV _
so that's actually
engine. Yes.
Yeah, that's my email ID. And just like that, I've changed that because people can't search me. So that's why it's AV engine, or my Instagram handle is AV engine X. So and then there is X, AV engine X. Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. Yep. Thanks. I think that kind of helps us a lot. So thanks again, Abhinav, and thanks everybody for joining us. And so we'll catch you next week again. Thanks, Abhinav. Bye.
Thanks, Dayan. Thank you. Thanks, guys, for your time. Thank you. Bye.
Yeah.
Good night.